demystifying planned giving in ways that diversify our planned gift donors. I'm Bill Stanczykiewicz. This is the first day from the Fundraising School, and I'm joined today by Christopher Beck. Christopher is the Principal Gift Advisor for ALSAC St. Jude. And Christopher, great to have you with us here on the Fundraising Schools podcast.
Bill, glad to be here, man. Thank you.
Now, I said the words planned giving, and unfortunately, some of our audience already hit the pause button. Planned giving can be scary. It can seem overwhelming, so highly technical, and yet you've had a lot of success in planned gift fundraising. What advice would you have for those fundraisers who are maybe still trying to become comfortable with this notion of planned gift fundraising?
Yeah. Well, I will say it's one of those kind of ouchy subject that you're like, well, I really don't want to talk about it. But, you know, if you have the relationship with your donors, you can definitely have a very meaningful conversation. But if you don't, I like to always start the conversation around their legacy, especially if donors have been giving for a while. We kind of talk about their legacy, and most donors don't really most don't think about their legacy. So it's my job as that professional to kind of help them see that.
Now, when you say ouchie, one of the reasons is all the highly technical information with the complex gifts, not wills, not retirement plans, not insurance policies, but we start talking about annuities and remainder trusts and things of that nature. How much of that knowledge do you have yourself, have you been trained on, or how much can you lean on colleagues or other resources? Because obviously you're doing this work all the time. How much technical knowledge do I need to be able to go into planned gift fundraising?
So I'll say this. So Bill, I have my CAP, and I'm currently enrolling in another certification right now to advance that. But I would say you got to just be able to know if you hear certain things as you're talking to the donor. If they say stuff about legacy, or I'm trying to reduce taxes, or just little things like that, all those are indicators, right? And then me as a professional, I need to be able to pick up on that. And what I don't know, I definitely have colleagues and a team of people that can help me navigate that. So again, planned giving is not like fundraising where, like a gala or just kind of a, walk run, right? And again, that's not being disrespectful to any of those events, but this is definitely a team approach, right? Because for the donor has normally a CPA, lawyer, family members that are involved. And in my case, I'm the philanthropy professional. And I have people on my team that I have to navigate things, talk through things with as well. So again, it's not quick. They can be kind of lengthy at times, but it's all about the donor and making sure that their legacy is set up the way they want it to be set up.
And at the Fundraising School, again, we can teach you the technical knowledge in our Planned Gift Management Certificate, thanks to funding from the Hibble Foundation, which is also providing scholarships for that certificate. You can learn all of those technicalities of planned gift fundraising. And at the same time, remember, you are always in the relationship business, forming those relationships with your donors. And if you need assistance on the technical side, there are community foundations, there are estate lawyers, there are folks maybe on your board who can assist with that and help you through some of those technical issues. Christopher, another reason this is ouchy is inherent in all of this is the donor's going to die someday. And, you're hesitant about talking about health and talking about the eventual demise of our life. How do you approach that subject that can be so tender for so many people?
Yeah, again, I'm going to keep it really simple. So if you have a relationship with your donor and you have not kind of, approached the subject, that makes it a little bit easier. But again, if you haven't, I tend to always kind of go back and talk about legacy. So in this case, I would say, Bill, look, you've been supporting us for over 15 years. You're giving X amount of money. Have you ever thought about your legacy, with us as a charity, right? And so my job as kind of the sage or the advisor is to make the donor ask themselves questions, right? And then to get them to start to think about things that they probably haven't really thought about, but to get them to move the needle and say, okay, I haven't thought about that way. So you want to just continue the conversation along the continuum as best you can, but while all at the same time keeping the donor kind of at ease as best you can.
Christopher, something that's been consistent through all of your answers in this conversation is when I have this relationship with the donor, when I'm talking to this donor who I've known, when I have this trusting relationship with this donor, I think sometimes folks feel that, oh, we read about the planned gift that came from the total stranger, and gosh, we don't know how to do that. But inherent in your answers is more often than not, pretty close to always, a planned gift is coming from a frequent annual fund, longtime annual fund donor who's also been part of a major gift campaign, a comprehensive campaign,
Yep.
a special event campaign. Can you elaborate on that for us, please, for our audience?
Yeah, absolutely. So just keep in mind, the planned gift is not just, I mean, you do get some people to say, I want to do a planned gift, but more than likely that particular donor has been touched by a lot of different parts of the organization. They may have come in through a walk, right? But then they got elevated to, the mid-level giving program, right? And so on and so forth. So every part of the organization really touches that planned gift, but it ends up with the planned giving officer at some point. But just know everybody has touched that gift to make that gift happen. It's not just a one man show. It's a team approach for sure.
And does it happen? Do you get the planned gift that's a surprise from the person we never heard of course. But we want to remind our audience, that's why it's in the news. The news reports what's rare and unusual. That is rare and unusual. Almost always these planned gifts are coming from donors who you already know. And then you can gently and properly get into these conversations about how would you like to continue your giving over time, including when you're not going to be with us in this world any longer. Now, Christopher, when we think about it, so often the idea has been, planned giving is happening from the older generations, and that still holds true. But we're also seeing, if we could shift a little bit here, thinking about diversifying who we're approaching about planned gift potential. I'd like to start with age and generations. We're seeing in the data now that the millennials have surpassed Gen X in the amount of dollars donated per household on average, especially the older millennials who are settling down. They do have a spouse or a partner. They have bought a house. They are welcoming children into the family. All these predictors of charitable giving and their household giving is going up. Have you been reaching out to the younger generations? What advice do you have for us in that regard?
Yeah. So, I've definitely started with some of the older millennials, again, just to have the conversation, going back to legacy, again, keeping it really simple and just kind of what's been working for me is legacy, getting them to think about their legacy. There's a gentleman that I know that we've been talking, he's early 30s, but he's doing extremely well. And so I've always, when we talk about, because right now he gives to a lot of different charities. He's kind of just writing checks right now. And I've kind of challenged him to trying to narrow it down, right? To say, what's important to your family, being somebody at your status, right? What's important to you and your family? And so, and when I mentioned that to him, he kind of just like, never thought about it that way. Because literally right now, he's kind of just writing checks. People call me, just kind of write checks. He's generous like that. And he's African American. He's young, right? And so so this is new, and he said, "Hey, look, this is new to me. Like I don't kind of, in quote, don't know what I'm doing, So yeah."
So having those conversations, even with younger generations, and by the way, one thing we hear from planned gift officers at the fundraising school is that when a family brings a newborn, either through biological or adoption means, that could be a first time that the parents start thinking about a will. Hey, now we have this little one in our family. And if they're putting a will together and this, it might be an opportunity to start talking with them about a planned gift. Yes, a planned gift that might be many decades away if they're a younger person, but a planned gift to consider nonetheless, especially when the research from Russell James and others shows that somebody who makes a planned gift is actually very likely to increase their annual fund giving in the subsequent years. So another reason to not rule out those younger donors. Christopher, what about being even more inclusive in our planned gift fundraising related to racial distinctions, reaching out to many different demographics? What advice do you have for fundraisers to make sure that there are more planned gift donors who look like you and don't just look like me?
So, Bill, listen, another great question, man. And I want to be I want to be honest and personal here. You as a Black person in this space, the timeline for me working with a white donor, it's a little bit longer just because we have to build that trust, right? I know people may or may not think about that, but sometimes my first meeting is just them asking me questions, right? And I'm probably seeing this person maybe once or twice a year, right? And so that makes for a longer, where my colleagues that are white may be able to go and talk about it the first and second visit. Well, for me, it's about the third or fourth, maybe even fifth visit before we can get to some type of meat of the conversation. So even that's just very different. And so I think we have to understand that. Another thing I would bring up would even be the terminology that we use. You got to think about it. If you want to talk to some people of color, they may not know what a trust is. They may not know what a donor advised fund is. So you can't just go in and just start using all the lingo. You have to really make sure that they understand, because if you don't, I've seen in some cases to where the philanthropic advisor will get frustrated because the potential donor may not know, or they are asking a lot of questions, or the potential donor gets frustrated because nobody's explaining it to them. So again, with all this shift that's happening, we can't just assume. You have to always go in and ask questions, always be asking questions.
Hey, Christopher, a lot of good advice there. And I would just summarize that you have given us permission to take our time, that if we're crossing that line of distinction, first of all, a planned gift can take a long time to develop, regardless of the demographics of the fundraiser and the donor that are involved, whether they're the same or whether they are distinct, and that we need to give ourselves permission that this is going to take a while to be able to build those levels of trust, including when we're crossing those lines of distinction into other demographic groups. Christopher Beck is the Principal Gift Advisor for ALSAC St. Jude. And Christopher, thanks so much for helping us demystify planned gift fundraising. Hopefully more fundraisers and nonprofits will be doing this work. Thank you so much for sharing your wisdom.
Yeah, thank you for being here. Thank you for allowing me to be here. It's been great.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, we have a new planned gift management certificate. We've always had the one course on planned gift fundraising, now 3 courses to make the information even more accessible, more easy to implement. And you take the 3 courses and you earn that certificate. We're grateful to have support from the Hibble Foundation to create the curriculum, and the Hibble Foundation also providing scholarships through AFP, through NACGP, and through CASE for their members to be able to attend. Now, that's just one of 5 certificates that we offer, 24 public courses in all, in person and online. We can customize training on a wide range of fundraising topics for you, and also deliver information through our quarterly webinars and, of course, these weekly podcasts. Information, including on planned gift fundraising, is available in our textbook, Achieving Excellence in Fundraising, the book now out in its 5th edition. Where do you find all these resources? Online. Go.iu. That's part of the address. Go.iu.edu/TFRS for the Fundraising School. Our podcast today has been produced by the Emmy Award winner Mike Anthony and my colleague Jennifer Boffman, CFRM. I'm Bill Stanczykiewicz, and now you are more fully informed on this first day from the Fundraising School.